We have a very poisonous and toxic media when it comes to representing so-called Western values, which is really their values, the values that they're indoctrinated with and inculcated with at Eton and Harrow and Oxford, which I maintain are our madrasas. These institutions are hotbeds of extremism.
Why? Explain that, because people hear that and say, hang on, you can't compare a madrasa in Pakistan.
Oh yes, you can. It's actually worse, given the damage that we've done around the world, compared to what's come out of those madrasas in Pakistan. These are the places where succeeding generations of the ruling class are inculcated with this right to rule, born to rule ethos, which has wrought so much damage around the world. Tony Blair went to Fettes, an elite school where he spent his formative educational years.
In Edinburgh.
This is where it starts, in Edinburgh. This is where it starts. I walk past it every single day. And I look at it and I think of all the crimes that have issued from that building. Same with Oxbridge.
But I just clarify, because we need to be careful on this point of crimes. When you say these crimes that have come from these organisations, which crimes?
Iraq, Afghanistan, going back to the 1980s, not post 9/11, Libya, what they've been doing in Syria, trying to undermine a secular government that represents a non-sectarian society in which minority communities can trace their existence back a millennium and more, on the side, on a de facto basis at least, perhaps even directly, of extremist head-chopping fanatics. There's no other way to describe them. Coterminous with what took place in Cambodia in the 1970s, in similar conditions of chaos, which were then created, again by the West, the US bombing of Cambodia, in service to the Vietnam War and in service to the Cold War nostrums that obtained then. So there is a pattern that runs right through our history, certainly since the Second World War, of blundering around like an out-of-control juggernaut, not on the basis of international law, not on the basis of any moral principle. The only principle is domination and hegemony. 800 military bases in over 70 countries around the world. You think they're there to make the world safe for democracy? Well, only if you believe anything they tell you. They're there to make the world safe for the ability of Western global corporations to rampage around the planet with unfettered, exploiting the world's human and natural resources. And the economic roots of this are actually important, because neoliberalism is an economic model which is no respecter of borders, no respecter of sovereignty, no respecter of culture. It's a world market, and that market is being fashioned in the image of America.
Are you saying that the neoliberal agenda ultimately stops at nothing to achieve its goals, and within that striving, there's criminal activity?
It has to. Well, I'm being very subjective with crime. Well, I think Iraq was, most people around the world consider that to have been a crime, given the events that led up to that, the faulty intelligence and so forth. Me, in terms of my ideological prism, these are crimes. These are crimes committed by rich countries against poor countries for no other reason than wealth from rich, for material gain, and to cement this ideology of domination, imperialism. It's imperialism in red and tooth and claw. Of course, there's a massive amount of embroidery that goes to try and mystify the process, you know, democracy and human rights and all these humanitarian intervention and right to protect, but it's imperialism. It was imperialism in the 19th century and it's imperialism in the 21st century.